Remember, there are no vaccines that can prevent the spread of COVID-19. Protective measures like washing your hands and wearing face masks, face coverings, and limiting physical contact between people are the strategies we have to slow the spread of disease. Let's protect those at high risk of becoming seriously ill from COVID-19, the elderly and those with medical concerns such as diabetes, heart disease, and lung diseases. The pandemic has not ended. We still have a national public health emergency as well as our local emergency. COVID-19 remains present in our community, and we will continue to monitor the trajectory of this disease. If necessary, future orders may be issued to control the spread of the disease and protect the public's health and safety. Safely reopening our communities requires the right strategies used at the right time. We are working closely with the business community in this first phase to open safely. We have been impressed with the detailed, careful plans that our business community have presented us and have deliberated over. There is more detail on the City of Menasha COVID-19 website and on the State of Wisconsin Department of Health Services website. And I thank you all for your continued strength and support.
Alderman Severnick, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. You had mentioned that the city has 24 confirmed cases. And my question is a two-parter. So how many of those are in Winnebago and how many of those are in Calumet? Do we do it in that manner?
Yes, we do. And I know the last time we met, there were 2 that were in Calumet and the rest were in Winnebago. The majority have been in Winnebago. I can get those numbers for you. We've had a couple come in over the weekend, so I'm not exactly sure which ones are from which county, but I'd be happy to find that out for you.
And my second part is, when Winnebago County does their reporting, does that include the city of Menasha, seeing that we have our own health department?
No, it does not.
Wow, I did not realize that.
Yeah,
so the numbers are actually much higher.
The state of Wisconsin reports by, statewide counts and then by county. So if you look at the state report online, that will include us in Winnebago County and in Calumet County. So the cases that are in Calumet County from Menasha and the cases from Winnebago County and Menasha is listed in or is included in the state website. However, when Winnebago County does their own reporting, they have a note that you will see that both the city of Appleton and the city of Menasha have their own health departments. So therefore they're included under those counties. And I can give you the case counts for those counties.
So you're saying, you're saying they're included in the counts or they're not included? So when I watch Channel 5 and they say Calumet County has this many, Winnebago has that many, when they say Winnebago County, are they reporting the ones also in Menasha?
The television is probably using the state counts, so therefore they would include Menasha.
Okay,
when
thank
Winnebago
you.
County shares their counts, or Calumet County shares their counts, they put a little asterisk that it doesn't include city of Menasha or city of Appleton. So I can tell you what the confirmation is today. So we had 24 confirmed, Calumet had 57 confirmed, Winnebago had 123, and Outagamie 139.
So that 123 also includes Menasha?
Yes, because I took them from the state counts.
Okay, thank you.
So Stan, if you're getting the update from Winnebago County every day emailed to you, that's the one that Nancy is saying would not include Menasha. If you're looking at the state website, that would, each county includes the cities as well as the counties.
Okay. Yep.
I'm not sure where you're getting your counts from.
Nope, nope, I understand it now. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Alderman Taylor?
Thank you, Mayor. Nancy, when will you be opening City Hall to the public?
Well, we're in phase 1, so we're working with our safety coordinator, Todd Drew, with Mayor, with our department heads to determine how we want to open up safely and when would be a good idea.
Okay, you think that'll happen within the next week or two?
Well, we're in phase 1, so it'll be probably a very limited reopening. And I would wait to ask my subject matter experts, which are Todd Drew and the rest of the staff, when would be the best time. I would say it will be in the near future.
Okay. And then Nancy, on your reporting numbers, like the 24, is there a point when, let's say, numbers 1 through 5, they're probably past their stage of when they had the virus, and
Yep.
and do those ever fall off our number list instead of just seeing that, you know, people
Yeah.
think that there's 24 current positive cases in our community? Does that number ever shrink as people get past the virus?
What happens is we continue to add them to our case count. So what you see as 24 is what has happened from April 1st till now, because April 1st was the first case. So 14 days following that, or whatever long, time, those people would be, I would call it, released from isolation. So a lot of people, as you know, still have lingering symptoms. But some have been released from isolation. So for example, I looked at the cases yesterday, and I believe there was close to a dozen that were in isolation right now, and a dozen that were out of isolation. And then we have the close contacts, which we do, you've heard a lot about contact tracing, where we work with the person who's been confirmed, and they identify people that they have been near, and then our staff contacts them and then notifies them, monitors their symptoms with them on a daily basis, and makes sure that they are quarantined. So just real little trivia piece is the quarantine is for people who aren't symptomatic and don't have the disease, and then isolation is for someone who does have the disease. So that's how we work with that. So right now it's about 50-50 that are released from isolation, and then the other portion are being actively monitored.
Okay. And certainly a big thank you goes out to you and your department, and the mayor and all the people working on this daily. And I think we were struck with a blow with the stay-at-home order that the Supreme Court threw down at us. But I think the message is to stay the course and watch our contact and protect ourselves. And hopefully Menasha can get through this with your help and your department. Thank you.
No, thank you. And like I said, we were very pleased that the businesses that are considering reopening are being extremely careful and extremely thoughtful, and sharing their plans with us and are working with us. We are continuing to notify them about new guidance that's coming out. So there is plenty of work to do right now, and I think we want to assure a safe and careful, slower reopening, phased-in approach.
So,
thank you.
So to back up to Alderman Taylor's question about city facilities reopening, about a week ago, I think I sent the protocol for City Hall for city employees in all of our public buildings. Right now, we're developing a very similar protocol for each of our public buildings or public facilities that would then go through the health department for verification that that's the safest way to operate those buildings. And then once those plans are put together, then we would consider what the appropriate date to open those buildings or facilities would be. So we're getting there on creating all those plans, but we don't have them complete yet. And we would not open anything until such point that we have those plans as well. Did I sum that up okay, Nancy?
Yes, you did a great job. Thank you so much.
Alderman Nichols has a question.
Yes.
Thank you. So Director McKinney, I'm hoping you might be able to elaborate a bit on what the future might look like, you know, in the short term over the next few months and maybe a little longer. I imagine sort of this push ahead, pull back, push ahead and slow down, maybe even a stop being required at some point. So do you have any idea what this might look like at the local level, given all that's happened in the last week?
Well, I have to say, it's been really great working with our regional health departments. So we have 5 health departments in the Tri-County area, and in Northeast Wisconsin, 2. We've been coordinating. So number one, that is extremely helpful in the absence of a statewide plan. Because we use the gating criteria for the statewide plan, and we're moving forward together, recognizing that the virus doesn't have geographic boundaries. But working with all of the health departments in a careful way to phase this in is our goal. And we actually have been meeting quite a bit over the last week with our attorneys, and then yesterday. So your question was, what do I envision? I think people need to think about that we do not have a vaccine for this virus, and we will work very hard to look at our case counts and our numbers. And then also we identified yesterday probably the most important measure is to look at our hospital admission rates, and if the hospitals are reaching capacity or are experiencing shortages of personal protective equipment, those are real signs that we need to seriously take a look at what we're doing. And of course we'll be looking at the case counts as time goes on. There are some communities some areas that have developed a sort of watching the curve kind of go, as you described, going up a little bit and then pulling back. Hopefully we won't have too much of that, but I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, we're learning so much about the virus and how it spreads that this will be something that'll be new and we're going to experience. Fortunately, we'll have a couple other states that have gone before us, and we can see how it's managed in other countries as well. I think the careful reopening in phases is going to allow us to ease back into situations without overwhelming our healthcare systems, and making sure that we are protecting, and this was one of our #1 goals yesterday, protect those that are at highest risk, those that are older, those that have lung disease, heart disease, or diabetes. We need to really be cautious about that. So in answer to your question, my crystal ball says that we need to plan not for a very short term, but a longer term situation with careful eyes on the data that is laid out, at least as a region, state, and nation.
Okay, and I'm thrilled to hear that the business community has been very thoughtful and in touch with you at the health department about their reopenings. I think that's good news for the community. Can you elaborate at all on your workings with the school district right now?
Yes, this is one of the, I just think this is the best partnership that our city has as far as, you know, health, education, and safety. We at the health department have been embedded in their pandemic plan. And so when they began working on how this would roll out in their sector, we were at the table. And now Chris Vanderheiden, superintendent, is once a week he comes and we have our partners meet with us, including the emergency managers for Calumet and for Winnebago County, along with Superintendent Vanderheiden, and he has been consulting with us on all different sorts of decisions that need to be made, as you can well imagine. So, you know, as we do during the school year with our school nurses and with our health services, we work hand in glove in this situation also.
Well, and I think reopening schools is a big task, so to speak. So
Yes, well, and there'll be a lot of decisions to make along the way.
well, that's good to hear. And then I'm also curious, Alderman Taylor mentioned reopening city buildings. Either you or the mayor elaborate on when we might, or when the community might hear more about parks, the parks programs, the farmers market and things like that, and specifically playgrounds as well.
So I'll take this and then I'll tag team with the mayor and attorney captain too. I mean, if we look at Badger Bounce Back and we look at the gating criteria, or not the gating criteria, but the there's the guidelines that we get from the state, Wisconsin Economic Development Council, Department of Public Instruction, CDC and others that tell us how to do it. And then there's the when to do it. And the when to do it also includes how many. So we have to look at all of those things when we're considering, you know, parks. How do we do it? That's guidance that we have that we can review and put in place. And then the when to do it and how many is going to be that Badger Bounce Back plan.
And the other half that kind of goes along with that is what our neighboring communities are doing. We don't want to open facilities in Menasha if our neighboring communities aren't. And then we would get overwhelmed with people coming from other areas. Nor do we want to keep ours closed if our neighboring communities are keeping theirs open and having our residents go to different communities and risk exposure with people that they wouldn't normally come in contact with. So we've been monitoring other communities. We've been working on those plans. I would assume that some of the park and rec things will come very quickly. Programming in the pool will probably take a lot longer, but we are working on those things right now. Yes.
And the farm market?
Farmers markets can operate. There is guidance for that also. So that is also in the plans, and it's an outdoor activity, but we'll have to be very careful about how it's implemented.
I think the bigger question is some of the other large events. We'll be bringing the fireworks to the council next council meeting. Most of the other events have been canceled by the organizers already at this time, but we will keep you up to date on large gatherings. Those are probably some of the higher risk items that we don't want to be known for, the ones that created a huge spread in Menasha by offering one of these events if it isn't ready to start doing those things at that point. So we'll take those into account as the summer moves further along and if the operators wish to move forward with them or not.
Thank you for mentioning that. Has a decision been made on Community Fest?
Not yet. We're meeting with Nina next week, I believe.
Okay.
I did talk to Spielbauer Fireworks. We would not lose our deposit if we do not have fireworks, but we would have that applied to next year's show if we so desire to cancel them. Or we could move them to a different date if we so desired, but we'll have some information from Nina and what their thoughts are, and we'll put it on both, probably on both council agendas that week would be my guess.
Thank you. And thank you, Director McKinney. My last item is not so much a question, but a request. And it comes from the knowledge that the state of Wisconsin has already started factoring in economic effects on its revenue from the shutdown of the state. And so I would like to see a report and update on the city of Menasha's budget for the next meeting as part of this report from department heads related to COVID-19, to review revenues, shortfalls, changes in expenditures, and any anticipated lost revenues from the state or county level.
I'm not sure if we'll have any information from the state yet at that point, but we are working on those things internally, especially additional costs. The big question mark is shared revenue. Right now, what we're hearing is the 2020 shared revenue should not be affected, but there is no word on the 2021 at this point. So, but that could all change in a heartbeat as well. We don't know. But we'll definitely have something in the near future on that for you as well.
Can I just mention one thing, since you're mentioning the economics of this? I do want to let you know that since the beginning, we've been linking from our public health department website on COVID-19 to COVID-19 business resources for community development. And, I'm going to thank Sam and, also Joe for assisting us in getting the word out about some of the economic support that's available for businesses and the community during the pandemic. So just wanted to mention that if people would take a look at that business resources, there may be some opportunities for funding.
Those are all on the community development page. There is a COVID-19 page both on community development and on the health department. And I believe that's also linked from your health department page.
Yep, it's linked.
Okay. Alderman Rapella. Randy, are you there? Okay, at this point, we'll move on to Alderman Taylor then.
Thank you, Mayor. And I echo Alderman Nichols' sentiments about keeping a good eye on the state, especially when it comes to our revenue. And we haven't been through this before, but let's say opening playground equipment, opening the swimming pool, are those going to be recommended? Of course, they're going to be recommended by the health department, but is the council going to approve these? Going to have to approve these openings too?
No, those are already things that were planned to happen. All that we're doing is looking at the protocol to make sure that they're done safely. And those are all things that are based on WEDC or CDC guidelines. Just like what we're doing right now is having City Hall open to employees. Those are all the things we're doing here are part of those CDC guidelines.
Okay, so just let me get it straight that we're following CDC guidelines to reopen, and it has to meet that criteria.
There's CDC and then Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation that has put out a lot of guidance regarding different activities and sectors. There's also going to be specific pool guidance coming out from the Department of Health Services. So those are the things that we look at.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any other questions at this point. So thank you, Director McKinney.
You're
And thank you
welcome.
for all the great questions.
Yeah, it's very good.
At this point, we'll move on to the minutes and communications. Do we have a motion? Alderman Sevenick?
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like for us to receive minutes A through F and communications G through J.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
There's a
Alderman
second
Taylor.
by Alderman Taylor. Any discussion? Alderman Sevenick?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to discuss the minutes of item C that pertain to the Housing Authority. And I have some concerns about the Strong Neighborhoods program. A few months back, when we were able to go to City Hall, Alderman Taylor and myself met with Sam and Joe to discuss some of our concerns about how we're implementing some of these things. I believe there's a strong opinion of the council that the Strong Neighborhoods program should be more about a curb appeal approach, meaning dealing with foundation as far as sidewalks, siding, windows, roofs. I start to have problems when we're spending large sums of money or giving large sums of money for kitchen repairs, basement foundations, and garages. So I know that there's at least one other alderman that has an opinion about this. I'll let that person talk on that subject too, but
yeah, we could
Go
put
ahead,
this
Mayor.
on the agenda. The minutes really isn't the place to change it at this point. I think Sam had
well, I
this.
realize that, Mayor.
Okay.
I realize that, Mayor. So it's here for discussion. And I was specific in the items that were on the
Sure.
in those drafted minutes. So I'll let anyone else that wants to speak on that speak on that.
Alderman Taylor.
I do echo Alderman Sevenick's comments on the Housing Authority's minutes. And as he stated, him and I met with you and Sam and back in February. And then I had asked that we would have a council workshop on this. And of course, nobody knew the pandemic was coming. And again, members of the public, Mr. Rogers was in a meeting, and he also stated that it was more a curb appeal, and I think that's what a lot of us thought at that time. With a neighborhood, if somebody does their kitchen or a bathroom, driving down the street, you're not gonna know that, and it's not gonna help the curb appeal of that neighborhood, and make that neighborhood a place where people say, hey, I would like to maybe buy a house in this neighborhood. And again,
if you want to change the program, Alderman Taylor, we can definitely put it on the agenda, but this is not a place to discuss.
I'm just stating the same as what Alderman Sevenick said about the program, and I look forward to the council president bringing that onto the agenda. And I want to move to item H, Public Works Week, and thank the mayor for his proclamation. And there's no doubt that the Public Works Department touches everyone in our lives, in this community, touches every one of our lives with mostly safety throughout the community. And they're responsible for a lot of people's lives being saved every year by the actions they take. If it's street repair, if it's the signage that they have in our community to keep us safe, if it's the sanitation of the community, And certainly with the road repair and the plowing, saves many lives, and Menasha shines more than any other community. I would like to say in the state of Wisconsin with their hands-on approach. And I worked in a large corporation and worked with people from a 50-mile radius, and everyone would always say when they got to Menasha, you can tell the difference with the roads, and thank goodness the city of Menasha Public Works Department does that type of work. Thank you.
Seeing no further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item G is public comments on any matter of concern to the city.
Oh, no wonder. Mayor, I had my mic on mute, and I was trying to get through while you were doing that
I'm
vote.
sorry.
So, but no, it's not your mistake. It was my mistake.
Okay.
I keep turning on my mute so that there's no background noise or something, which I think we all should be doing. But anyways, if the council will give me a little leeway here, I really don't want any more applications filled until we can rectify this situation for the Strong Neighborhoods program. So I don't think any more basement money or any
We can put
more.
something on the next agenda, Stan.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, hopefully nothing is approved in the next 2 weeks here.
I don't believe there's another meeting in the next 2 weeks.
All right, thank you. All right.
Mayor?
Go ahead, Mayor.
James, we're on public comments at this point.
Yes, and I just wanted to mention a public comment that was made that because we're on voice instead of on television, the member of public mentioned that they would like to see a little more detailed minutes. So when they go over the minutes, you might see a little more of the discussion than just the simple minutes because of the situation with only the voice. Thank you.
It appears that I do have a member of the public that would like to speak, and you'll need to turn your mic on, sir or ma'am.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good evening, all. Dick Sturm, 1203 Greenwood Drive, speaking tonight as chairman of the Park and Rec Board and also a member of the Plan Commission. Later this evening, the aldermen will be considering a resolution R19-20 and at item L2, and it concerns the acquisition of certain properties to facilitate the Blosum Canal project. And what I would like to state about that is that this topic of the development of the Blosum Canal and use for park and recreation and other city use has popped up, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 times in the last 10 to 15 years. However, in the last couple of years, we've really been considering it, and opportunity is now presented itself, and the park board has considered it twice. Once at the March meeting and then again at the April meeting, and it was very well discussed and a well vetted subject, and the park board unanimously supports Blosum Canal habitat restoration and used for recreation and a free-flowing waterway. It's a very unique project, and it brings a very unique opportunity to our city for recreational and casual use of this unique setting. I'm sure that Brian will explain a lot of the things that I won't go into, but the resolution is saying that primarily the acquisition and the development will be covered by grant monies. And Parks and Recreation is very fortunate to have a director who is an experienced and successful grant writer. And I really believe that we can accomplish this unique project solely on grant monies. We've used grants in the past. As I said, our director has applied for, and we've developed the Trestle Trail, Loop the Lake, Friendship Trail, use at boat landings, and some at the Smith Park Memorial Building site shorelines, boat dockings, and those types of things. So I think that we have a really nice opportunity to be that city on the water that we want to be. And this opens up a whole new dimension to the anchor there, being the Gilbert site and the trail that we have there, and our object to get from Taco Street Bridge all the way down to Washington Street Bridge with a shoreline trail. So what I'm asking is please consider it and what it can do for our city, and please approve the resolution so that we can have control of this property, not necessarily be tied to it, but in the 5 years, and that's all in the resolution. We need that control in order to acquire those grants. So again, I think it's a unique project, and ask for your support in approving the resolution. So that's what I have to say, and thanks for listening.
Thank you, Dick. I do not see anyone else on the list, but if there's anyone else from the public here, we'd be happy to hear from you at this time. Okay, well, is there someone else there that wishes to speak? No? Seeing no one else, we'll move on to item H, which is the consent agenda. There are 2 items this evening. Do we have a motion to separate them, or do we have a motion to approve them? Alderman Severnick?
I'm okay to approve both, unless someone wants to separate.
Alderman Nichols, I'd like to separate item 2.
Okay, so do we have a motion for item 1, the minutes at this point? Alderman Severnick?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the Common Council minutes of 4/5/2020.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second to approve the council minutes of May 4th. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, do we have a motion? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to approve the development agreement between the City of Menasha and Lake Park Ridge Apartments, LLC.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second that.
There's a motion by Alderman Nichols and a second by Alderman Tomgrady. Any discussion? Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. Director Schrader, can you speak to how the issue of whether or not option 2 occurred and was addressed in the purchase agreement with the RDA?
Sure. So I know that this question did get brought up at the administration committee regarding the developer's option to construct phase 2 of the project. I believe it was Alderman Nichols that had kind of noted, how do we ensure future development on this site? So again, the developer did submit an offer to purchase to the redevelopment authority at the last RDA meeting, which was May 5th. At that time, the RDA did basically make a counter offer, noting a right of reversion on the phase 2 portion of the project. So again, if phase 2 is not commenced within 3 years of the closing, demonstrated by the issuance of building permits for that phase, the redevelopment authority would have the right to purchase that phase back at a proportion of the cost for that area.
Thank you.
Alderman Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor. Sam, just a side note here with the development agreement. I had asked a question to the developers about different covenants in the area out there. Certainly, this is Menasha's prime development out here, and the homeowners that are purchasing homes in this area all feel very, very proud of their homes. And with outside storage being an issue in a lot of apartment buildings, in a lot of the apartment complexes, that they didn't quite know exactly what kind of requirements they were going to have. And I mentioned that I would not like to see a lot of outside parking as far as boats and snowmobiles and trailers, and so I would really ask you to really look into that when this comes back a little further, to limit as much as we can on the outside of the building as far as other than motor vehicles. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Sevenick,
Aye.
Alderman Langdon, Alderman Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Ted Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Rapella,
Aye.
Alderman Nichols,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Motion carried on roll call 8-0.
Mayor,
Yes.
I just want to apologize. That was me when that noise was being made. I thought I was on mute. So, James, I'm sorry about that. That was me.
That was your dog, right? Just blame it on the.
I was opening up a bag of something, so I'm sorry. I thought I had the mute on. Sorry.
So the next item is item J, action items. The first is the accounts payable and payroll for May 1st through 14th. Do we have a motion this evening, Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to approve the accounts payable and payroll for the term of May 1st through May 14th, 2020, in the amount of $16,997,727.73.
Second, Alderman Grady.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Ted Grady. Is there any discussion? Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. One question, and that is on the last page, combined page 28. There was a check to Gamey Dog Club for $150. It was a building rental, and it's under the description of COVID-19. So I was just curious what that was.
This is Jennifer. It's my understanding that that was an additional charge for the voting place to have extra cleaning done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Langdon,
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Ted Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Rapella,
Aye.
Alderman Nichols,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor,
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick.
Aye.
Motion carried on roll call 8-0.
Item 2 is beverage operators license applications. Do we have a motion? Alderman Nichols? Gotta turn your mic back on, Becky.
Thank you. I'll move for approval of the beverage operators license applications for the 2019 through 2021 licensing period. as listed under approved in the city clerk's memo dated May 14th, 2020.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Schmidt. Is there any discussion? And I think we need a roll call on this, right? If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Ted Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Repella,
Aye.
Alderman Nichols,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor,
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick, Alderman Langdon.
Aye.
Motion carried on roll call 8-0.
Item L is ordinances and resolutions. The first is resolution 16. I've got two hands up. Alderman Langdon, did you wish to make the motion?
I will. Thank you, Mayor. I will make the motion for R-16-20, a resolution regarding and authorizing the borrowing of $11 million from Covantage Credit Union, providing for the insurance of a general obligation promissory note therefore, and levying a tax in connection therewith, introduced by Mayor Merkis, and there is a memorandum.
Hold on, we need a second first.
I'll take second.
Yep.
Ted Grady.
Motion and a second by Alderman Ted Grady. Mark, did you have more?
No.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll need a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Tom Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Ted Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Repella,
Aye.
Alderman Nichols,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor,
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick,
Aye.
Alderman Langdon,
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt.
Aye.
Motion carried on roll call 8-0.
Item number 2 is resolution 19. Alderman Grady.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like to make the motion for R-1920, resolution authorizing the acquisition of the land along the portion of the Blosum Canal to construct a naturalized / free-flowing canal around the Menasha Dam, and to authorize grants to be written through the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources and other related grants sources, introduced by myself, Alderman Ted Grady.
I'll second that, Alderman Tom Grady.
And so there's a motion and a second by Alderman Grady and Alderman Grady. Ted, did you have more, or did you just turn your hand back on rather than off?
Well, I just like, as Commissioner Dick Sturm talked, I would probably want to have Brian Tungate kind of weigh in on some of the benefits of how this will help Menasha.
Director Tungate, would you like to make any comments?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Well, I think the resolution is pretty self-explanatory. Really what it does, for simplified terms here, is it allows land to be acquired in some fashion, and that will allow us to apply for grants. That's really the essence of this resolution. And a couple things have happened, recently, and any project of this sort of complexity, as takes a long time to sort of put together. But recently we went in front of the RDA, and they expressed their support for the project, and I think that's critical. We have the RDA now in support of this clearly. Chairman Sturm mentioned the Park and Recreation Board, and we've recently been to the Plan Commission. So, I guess we really wanted to make sure we stopped at all of these groups and made sure we were, kind of in lockstep here with this project. And so I think it speaks positively for the desire to move ahead with this project, both from a recreational standpoint. I mean, that's the chair I kind of sit in here. Yes, there's a strong public benefit to this project, but we've also been in contact with, with Sam and community development, the RDA. We understand that this, this is going to be a partnership with the RDA, and we, stand ready to work with the RDA and the Plan Commission and the City Council to make sure this is a win-win project. It's not just, a recreation project. We know it's got to work for redevelopment over there as well. So, this really sets the direction for the project. It allows staff to go ahead and execute the land options that are needed here, which are 2 parcels, and it talks about at no or nominal cost. So right now, we believe that both these parcels can be acquired for $0 or $1 or just this very nominal amount. If something changes, and that can happen, we'll be the first to come back to the council and let you guys know. But right now, our expectation is that we should be able to acquire both of these at no or nominal cost. And then it also allows us to move forward with some, planning and design, because we need to get this design further down the road. It is not fully designed at this point, but we need, in order to apply for grants, we need to take the next step in planning and design of this project. We need to start working towards permitting it through the DNR. And so there's a lot of steps to be taken, but like I've said before, there's really no red lights, and flashing in front of us that say, hey, this can't be done. We know it's complex. I think we have a good handle on all the issues in front of us, and we've done our research as far as we can to this point, and we're ready to move ahead. The last thing I'll mention would be on the grant sources. It still is the goal of this project to not have any city tax dollars in it, and I appreciate the comments of Dick Sturm earlier. We have been pretty successful here, both through the DNR and other grant sources, and DNR is aware of this project. We've had numerous conversations with them. It was mentioned in the Gilbert project plan back about 4 or 5 years ago, and so they're anticipating a grant from us, and I think we're nothing's guaranteed there, but I think we check a lot of boxes that score points in grant applications, just because of this project is multifaceted, and that's what the DNR likes. And the Community Foundation is another source that we've been in contact with, and they too are anticipating an application from us. We hope to do that in 2021, and I guess we like our chances with that grant as well. So if there's any questions about the project or the resolution, I think we can try to answer those.
Are there any questions for Director Tungate? Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. Director Tungate, you mentioned that this resolution allows for land to be acquired. Is any land being acquired as part of this resolution?
No, what the resolution does is allows us, I guess, staff to execute the securing these lands. The RDA would be the one securing the water power company parcel, which is the blue one on the drawing, and then the green parcel is the PJC parcel. So unless something happens and we can't secure those the way it's laid out here, for $1 or $0, we would go ahead and execute those agreements.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last part of that.
staff, we would go ahead and execute those agreements to secure those properties unless one of the parties comes back and says, well, wait a minute, we need $10,000 or we need to look at this differently. But every indication in the communications we've had so far lead us to believe that we can acquire these at $0 or $1.
So these conversations have been sort of ongoing then?
Yes, they have been. We've had some emails and some phone calls, and this is what we are anticipating that will happen. But yeah, we have no reason to believe it won't happen that way.
Okay. And then underneath that portion of the Gilbert property, the green one, since we're looking at it, that is some sort of outflow structure, I believe, from the old facility.
Yes.
And as you and I were talking about this the other day, I remembered that there have been several plans brought forward over the last decade or so about this site. One of them was to, keep the boiler building at one point and have that restored. And then we saw that go, and we saw the smokestack go. And so I'm wondering if there's anything in that outflow structure that was part of the property that and the factory that might be of any significance that we might have interest in keeping as part of the site or redevelopment, or just for remembrance sake.
Well, I think there's a couple things worth perhaps saving there. One might be that the old steel bridge that's still there. I'm not sure if that has any architectural value yet. And then the other thing would be there's some gears within one of the I guess you'd call it a well of water there. I've only seen a little bit of the top of those, but I think there could be some value to salvaging those as well. But those would be the couple things that come to mind.
Well, I hope that we can keep those things in mind and be aware of them as this moves forward, simply because I know from the redevelopment authority perspective, they took some time to make sure that some things were salvaged from that site as the bridge project moves forward. So I think we might have an opportunity here as well. Thank you.
Alderman Grotti?
Yes. I just want to echo Alderman Nichols' concern with certain elements. I do believe that bridge is worth saving, at least the outer structure, the railing parts, maybe not the bridge platform itself. They've used a lot of those throughout in the Kickapoo region, hiking through that area last January. Exactly the same bridges, all restored and cleaned up. They look quite elegant. And I think that would be a nice touch to the site somewhere. In Wausau, there is a kayak park that goes sort of through their downtown area. And just looking at the plans and the layouts for this one, I pretty much feel that this is far superior to anything that would be in the state of Wisconsin. And just the concept of being able to kayak from Lake Winnebago into Little Lake Butimore without having to deal with the locks or anything would be just a beautiful flow. And this is something that I really think will help to revitalize and jumpstart our downtown area, which is in need of, extreme need of attention. We're spending a lot of time on the peripheral of the city, but our heart needs to be rejumped, and I think this is one of the elements that will help. Thank you.
Alderman Taylor?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, don't we need, when we're purchasing property or acquiring property, don't we need a public hearing on this?
I'm looking at the attorney. Public hearing to purchase property, not that I'm aware of.
So,
It went through the Plan Commission, the Park Board, and the RDA at this point.
so is the attorney, what is the attorney saying?
You said it went through the proper committees.
Okay, so we do not need a public, so my question was, do we need a public hearing on this?
Not by statute, apparently.
Okay, and that's the opinion of the attorney or your opinion?
We have, no one has asked it before this point, but we have not done that in the past.
Okay, I'm just asking the attorney a question for the statute. According to any statutes, do we have to have a public hearing on acquisition of land?
Looks like Sam may have the answer to that.
Mayor, I was asking a legal question. I'm sure the attorney has a microphone, I would hope.
She's sitting right next to me.
Does she have a microphone?
I do not have the statute book in front of me.
Okay. And I would certainly like to inform the public of any acquisitions of land. And I think a public hearing should follow this, certainly. And I had another question here about, first of all, let's look at what the Blosum Canal is. It was a power canal to help power paper machines and generate electricity for the paper mills that were on this property. And before the Gilbert paper mill, there was Edgewater paper. That was where the Bonta site is, but to the north of the Bonta site. And another company that had this power canal is the Whiting Paper Company, and that was to generate power for their paper machines. And something Alderman Sevenek brought up a while back was the capability of the new type of generators out there in the world. And what I'm in favor of is that this power canal could generate power for the city of Menasha for 365 days a year, 24/7. And the kayaks will come on a nice day during the daytime hours, and they're going to just bypass Menasha, and there's no economic value for this for a few kayaks that were going to come through. But this power canal, the source of it, the reason it was designed was to power turbines. And for us to take a 24-hour, 365-day a year moneymaker for the community out of the mix for a few kayakers, I think is ridiculous. And maybe there's a way the canal could be shared with the power end of it and with the kayakers, but I don't think that has been explored. At least not to this body, it hasn't. And we all know that the buck stops here. The other committees might have said, oh, it's a good idea and everything, but to look at it as an overall project for the city of Menasha and what it's going to bring to us and cost our taxpayers, this is something we need to look into a little deeper than this. I see no dollars in this document tonight, no dollars at all. I don't know what the project's going to cost, what the grants are going to cover. I don't know what the amount of the grants we're going after. I don't know what the amount that Community Foundation is going to ask us for. And another question I had was, is the Bonta building, the west side of the Bonta building, that newer addition they put on in the last 30 years, and the 4-story building, is that going to stand is that, according to the map here, it just says Bonta property. So is that building going to remain?
That would be a decision from the RDA.
Okay, as this time, Mayor, do you feel that that building is going to remain? That is a money maker, another money maker for the community. We know in other areas, these industrial loft apartments are selling like hotcakes. And I know we've been sitting on this because of state of Wisconsin figuring out what you're going to do with the front part for the roundabout. And again, here's another money maker, and not just a kayak, which is not going to make any money for the city of Menasha. We need to look at what the dollars are here. There's no dollars with this tonight. And what about the environmental impact? Is there some contamination on these properties yet that have to be cleaned up? That's a big question. Environmental impact should be the number one question here before we acquire any property from someone. And I don't care if it's for $1. Environmental impact, we know that there's different industrial companies that were located on this property. And I think until we find out the impacts and to have a public hearing, I would like to postpone this till the next meeting, the first meeting in June. And I'll put that into a motion.
I don't hear a second for the postponement.
Well, you didn't ask for a second, Mayor.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll
I
second
don't-
for discussion.
Okay, so there is a motion and a second to postpone to the June 1st meeting. Discussion. Stan, do you have discussion on the postponement?
Well, Mayor, that's interesting because right now only the discussion should be about the postponement, but I had so much more to address. I had my mic on. I wanted to address other things. I don't think it's important at this time to postpone. I was going to be able to answer some of James's questions, but I wasn't able to do that. That's sometimes the trouble with having these teleconferencing things. But sorry, I do not have anything as far as the postponement, but I don't want to postpone it.
We can come back to you after we're done with this vote, as long
Okay.
as it doesn't, as long as it fails. Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. I was hoping Alderman Taylor could say once again what his reasoning was for asking for the postponement. And I wanted to ask Director Tungate if there was any pressing, urgent reason that action had to be taken this evening.
Should stay on postponement.
Well, that does regard postponement. If it's important, right, then that helps the decision.
Up to the chair.
James, did you have a comment on why you need to postpone?
Well, I did ask that the grant amounts be exposed to us, the amount that we'll be looking for. As far as the community foundation, what were they looking at to, what is the cost of this whole project? And does the grants cover this whole project? Here we're going into something blind again. And we don't know the amount of the grants. We don't know the amount of the scope of the project. And also, I wanted to know if the Bonta building, the loft apartments on the west side of that property was going to stay, because according to conversation I had with the director Tungate. You know, the banks of this property are going to be, the steel walls are going to be removed, and with the steel walls being removed and in a grade, I don't know how you could have the property. And to me, the property is worth tax dollars. To me, the power that we could make on this power canal is something to the community, and maybe it's a share project that we can acquire both. And these are just unknowns. This is the first time it got to this body here, and it was in the park department twice, and this body needs to ask questions since
I think we got the gist of it.
Since the Laux administration, I've had questions on this and they haven't been answered. This is our first time to start answering questions as a body, as a council, and I'd like a couple of questions answered before I make a recommendation on this. And I think the public has the right to have the public input on this. That's who we represent, and I'm sure if we put that out there, the public would like to make some comments, and I would like to hear from the public on this.
So those are the items that we would answer those questions if it is not postponed. Otherwise, we would postpone it and wait until the next meeting to put those questions forward so that people have time to react to those further.
And a public hearing?
Public hearing, grant amounts, project costs, what's happening with the Bonta property, what is the potential for using it for electric power, and what's the urgency of passing this tonight.
Yes, and but my postponing is that I do not want to acquire the property tonight until I have these questions answered, and that's what my postponement is for.
So let me make this a little bit clearer. We're not acquiring property. What's going on is we're gaining, this resolution gives us the ability to acquire that property if the grants are accepted in the future. So we need to—
Mayor, you need to stick to the postponement here. I was going to address those issues.
But we're not acquiring the property tonight with this resolution. We're getting the ability to acquire the property.
That's not what when I talked to the director this afternoon, that's not what I understood, that the resolution authorizing the acquisition of land along a portion of the Blosum Canal, that's what this resolution states in front of me here.
Director Tungate, did you want to comment on that?
Well,
Mayor, point of order. Let's vote on the postponement. You're going back to the resolution.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll take a roll call vote on the postponement then.
And are we acquiring the property? It says the authorizing the acquisition. That's what my hang up is, and that's why I want to postpone.
It says this parcel will not be accepted until grants and other funding has been secured within the next 5 years.
That's what I was gonna address, but let's stick to the postponement.
So the motion is on the floor to postpone at this point. If we could have a roll call on that, then we can continue discussing either this meeting or next meeting. Go ahead.
Alderman Ted Grady. On
Nay.
the post. Alderman Rapella.
Nay.
Alderman Nichols.
Nay.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick.
No.
Alderman Langdon.
Nay.
Alderman Schmidt.
Nay.
Alderman Tom Grady. Alderman Tom Grady.
Tom, your mic is turned off.
Sorry. Nay.
Sound like a billy goat.
Motion failed on roll call 107.
Okay, Alderman
Mayor?
Severance, did you want to continue?
Yes, thank you. And I understand what Alderman Taylor is saying, and I want to kind of address that because today the resolution really is about two parts. First, it is about purchasing, and that says to go out and negotiate basically the purchasing. You can't buy it until you come back to the city council. So even if it's $1 or if it's $1,000 or $1 million, it still has to come back to the council. But the most important thing about this resolution is to give our staff the ability to write grants. And whenever you do grants, you save the taxpayers a lot of money. Let's just say that. So that's why I'm in favor of doing this, because there are parts in here where it will be coming back to us. I kind of want to address the issues Alderman Taylor brought up about the energy thing. I believe that with the new technology that's out there, you can have both. You can have the energy sources, technology in place along with the water resources such as kayaking or whatever else, even just enjoying the water. So I wouldn't hold it up for that reason either. The other thing too is Alderman Taylor's concern about a public hearing. I agree with him on that. I believe that at some point there will be a public hearing once we decide that yes, we are going to purchase it, because staff can't just go out and purchase. It does have to come back to us for the final dollar amount, because he is correct. There is no dollar amount here yet. They have to come back to us with a dollar amount. So at that time too, if Alderman Taylor would like to have a public hearing, he can call one anytime, just so all the council members know. In our rules, it states that any alderman can ask for a public hearing at any time. So I just wanted to make that clear, but I think it's important that we vote on this now so that we can start moving forward and get these grant dollars while we can, because money is going to be an issue in the future because of everything that's been going on in our lives here. So I think the sooner the better. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Nichols?
I also share Alderman Taylor's concern about the tax dollars for this project, and since we are being assured that it can be covered by grant dollars, I will be aware of that as discussions move forward. And Director Schrader, could you address the other concern of environmental issues and how the redevelopment authority has been through that?
Sure. So the redevelopment authority, obviously, with the purchase of the former Bonta facility and the land around it, have done substantial environmental analysis of the building, the land that surrounds the canal. Every time we look at it, it does come back favorably. So the RDA has not necessarily themselves tested in the canal, and maybe Director Tungay can touch on that. But we are working towards basically moving forward with site closure on the northern peninsula as part of the redevelopment project, while the DOT is demoing the portion of the building on the south side.
And there will be some work in coordination with the DOT to be monitoring any possible situations.
Yeah, so the RDA, again, is contracted with Omni and Associates. They will be kind of overseeing the demolition of that area. as well as conducting the site closure of the northern peninsula. There's been some geotechnical work that has been done, as well as some vapor analysis in this overall area.
Thank you.
Alderman Taylor?
Thank you, Mayor. Sam, are we still moving forward with the industrial loft apartments on the west side of the Bont building?
That is still a decision up with the RDA.
Okay, and are we going to lose millions of dollars worth of housing for a recreational canal here? Is this going to stand in the way?
We have looked at it as well as some of the developers that have been interested, as the canal as being, and the canal project as being an asset to that project. Portion of the canal that is the blue portion in your packet to be acquired by the redevelopment authority. Part of that reason, again, is to add to the developable square footage of that property, to be able to make sure that we are able to create substantial tax value, future tax value on this property.
Okay, so by putting in a kayak canal, that we're not going to lose the ability or the west end of the Bonta building for development.
The canal project would not trigger the need to demolition the other portion, the west portion or south portion of the Bonta building. However, as Mayor Merkus had mentioned earlier, that still is up in the air as part of the redevelopment authority's future looking at the site.
Okay, and again, help me with this wording. R-19-20 resolution authorizing the acquisition of land along a portion of the Blosum Canal. And that does not include the other property. This just includes A, is that correct? Or maybe I should ask Ted Crotty, he's got his name on it.
Not sure exactly what the question is.
The question is, as it reads here, along the acquisition of land along A.
Along a portion of the Blosum Canal. Sure, Attorney Captain could comment.
So there are two resolved paragraphs. I will talk about the last one first. In order for the redevelopment authority to acquire any land or real property, they need to have the authority of the Common Council in order to do that. And so the last paragraph there is authorizing the redevelopment authority to acquire one of those parcels. And so it would be up to the redevelopment authority to determine what the terms are with respect to that. The second last paragraph is indicating that the staff will obtain an option to acquire parcel with the water rights. So those are two separate things at no or nominal cost. However, closing on the property, so the actual transfer of property, would not occur unless and until the Common Council decides that it wants to actually move forward with that Blosum Canal restoration project, and that would be after it knows what the costs are, it knows what kind of grant monies have been received or they're eligible to receive. But in order for the applications to even be submitted, the DNR needs to be assured that the city has, or the redevelopment authority have the ability to control those properties. So that's why you would be entering into agreements to acquire, but the final acquisition or closing on the properties would not occur until the Common Council approves that.
Thank you. You've made that crystal clear to me now. I appreciate that.
Is there any other discussion on the top resolution? I don't see anyone else, so if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Mayor, I just wanted to say, Mayor?
Sure. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say there needs to be a little more, and I don't know when that's going to come, but with the grant, with the DNR, and with the safety of the water in that area. We've had 3 kayakers, one go over the dam already this year or through the dam, and the other 2 were clinging for their life on the cables. And what we're going to have to do along with this is to engineer a safety mechanism to enter the Blosum Canal. It's just above the dam. The current is tremendous with 6 gates open, and the safety of families, especially children that are kayaking, it's just not open the Blosum Canal and they will come. There's much more engineering safety to be put into
Point of order.
To enter the Blosum Canal.
Alderman Grady, what's your point of order?
Alderman Taylor just said he understood exactly what the captain attorney stated, crystal clear to him. Now he's going off the subject again. Alderman Taylor, of course, that's all going to be looked at.
The mayor will answer your point of order.
I would agree that it's off topic. We're talking about acquiring properties, so we should stay on acquisition of properties,
I
not.
put the cart before the horse here.
So.
Exactly. You don't need to attack me, Alderman Grady. You call the point of order. Let the mayor rule.
Did you have anything else?
Know what the point of order was. I'm not attacking you.
Okay,
let the mayor state the point of order.
Let us move forward. Do you have any other discussion, Alderman Taylor?
I'm sorry that safety upsets you, Alderman Grady.
Are you finished?
Oh, boy.
Now who's attacking who?
Okay, we're done.
I'm talking about safety of the public, and that's all I'm talking about, and it's part of this project. Thank you, and it's part of the grant process.
We will take a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Rapella. Want me to repeat the motion, Alderman Rapella?
Yes, please.
Okay. There was a motion by Alderman Ted Grady, seconded by Alderman Tom Grady, to approve Resolution R1920.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll vote yes. Yay.
Alderman Nichols?
Aye.
Alderman Taylor?
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick?
Aye.
Alderman Langdon?
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt?
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady?
Aye.
Alderman Ted Grady?
Aye.
Motion carried on roll call 8-0.
Item 3 is resolution 20. We have a motion. Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'll move that we approve our 2020 resolution authorizing submission of a community development investment grant application introduced by the mayor.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Taylor. Is there any discussion? Did you have discussion too, James? No?
I don't have my hand up.
I just turned it off, so I wasn't sure before that.
I turned it on so I could second it.
Okay, perfect. Seeing no further discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Nichols,
Aye.
Alderman Taylor,
Aye.
Alderman Sevenick,
Aye.
Alderman Langdon,
Aye.
Alderman Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderman Tom Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Ted Grady,
Aye.
Alderman Repella.
Aye.
Motion carried on roll call 8-0.
Item M is appointments. There's one item, the reappointment of Mr. Holman to the Plan Commission. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion. Alderman Tom Grady to reappoint Cara Holman to the Plan Commission for the term 5/18/2020 through 5/18/23.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Sorry, Stan, I was having problems with my screen. Did you have any comments?
That's okay. Yes, I did.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I just want to say that, would you pronounce her first name?
Kara.
Right. I thought you said it differently, but anyways.
Okay.
I just want to say that, she worked for the city in the past, and I've always been happy with her work. And I think that she is a wonderful addition to the Planning Commission, especially with the caliber of her knowledge that she can bring to the city. So we are extremely fortunate to be able to have Ms. Holman. That's it.
Okay, great. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Item O is public comments on any matter that was on the agenda. Is there anyone from the public? I do not hear anyone. And at this point, do we have a motion to recess to the committees?
I have a question, Mayor.
Sure.
Thank you. We do have an action item under Q, and I'm wondering if we can at least talk about it in open session and decide whether or not a closed session is necessary.
Sure. Well, we can still come back to that in open session before we go into closed session and have it taped.
Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else? Alderman Sevenick?
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'll move that we go in the recess into committees.
Is there a second?
Second.
Nobody wants.
Second.
Was that
Mark?
Mark? Okay.
Alderman Langdon.
That was Mark.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We stand at recess. Thank you. Do we need time or should we keep